breaking news coming our way. Well, visuals show the relief materials which was collected for distribution to the affected residents staying in temporary camps in various places of Nuwakot and Rasuwa areas impacted by the floods in the Bhote Koshi River of Rasuwa. Let me in fact get in a word from my colleague Pragati Tripathi, who joins us on this broadcast for more. Pragati, if you can also take us through the details about how this relief material is being distributed to the affected families and residents. Pragati? Pragati, can you hear us? Well, I guess we have not been able to establish that connection with my colleague Pragati over there. But remember that we are playing out those visuals for you. India has also sent in relief material. There are other nations like Australia which has also sent in relief material. US, China have offered help to aid in the rescue and relief operations as well. However, Nepal has stated that they have a lot of personnel on the ground and they are conducting the operations on a war footing. So remember that now we are getting those visuals as to how the aid is distributed to these particular families and residents who have been impacted by the floods. Remember, right now the priority for the country is rescue, is relief, and then rehabilitation. Well, I believe Pragati is back on the line with us. Pragati, we were just talking about how this relief material is distributed among the affected residents. If you can take us through that process, please.
Please, Shivani. Shivani, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Okay. So, Shivani, the scale of this devastation in Nepal's Bhote Koshi River, flood zone is now being matched by an equally massive challenge, and reaching the people who have survived, getting relief to them, and continuing the search for those who are still missing. So from Rasuwa to Nuwakot, the immediate focus has shifted from simply escaping the flood waters to survival in the aftermath. These visuals, shows relief materials being collected for residents who have been moved into temporary camps across Nuwakot and Rasuwa. Flood, food, blankets, mattresses, sleeping bags, and other essential supplies are being mobilized. But the biggest challenge remains getting these supplies from collection points to the people who actually need them. The flood has destroyed the roads and bridges across the affected corridor, and several motorable and suspension bridges have been washed away, leaving many areas physically cut off. That means even when relief material is available, reaching the affected population is proving extremely difficult. And Nepal's disaster authorities say relief supplies are being routed, through designated collection hubs, including military facilities in Nuwakot and Dhading, before being moved toward the affected areas. The government has also deployed thousands of personnel from the Nepal Army, Nepal Police and armed police forces for search, rescue and relief operations. Hundreds of people have already been evacuated through both air and ground routes. But on ground, the picture remains extremely challenging, Shivani, as local authorities have, been flagging shortage of manpower and equipment, particularly for reaching isolated communities. Because clearing debris and recovering people and bodies that have been swept downstream. And that is where these rescue visuals become, particularly very significant.
Absolutely, Pragati. Stay on with us. We have some more breaking news coming our way. Well, rescue teams are battling thick mud and challenging terrain to pull people to safety after devastating floods hit Nepal. Visuals show rescuers wading through knee-deep slush, carrying stranded residents on their shoulders as floodwaters submerge homes and roads. Efforts are underway to evacuate those trapped, with authorities racing against time to reach cut-off areas. Let's take a look at those visuals. So, Pragati, we are getting these visuals now of the rescue operations that are underway. Obviously, this is a race against time because there is a golden period after disasters where you can rescue people and make sure that there are survivors. But here we have these heartwarming visuals as to how difficult these rescue operations can be, but that has not deterred the security forces from doing their duty, from making sure that they rescue each and every person that is in fact stuck inside this debris, this mud, this slush.
What we are seeing on the screen gives you a sense of just how extreme the situation is on the ground in Nepal right now. These are the visuals from the ongoing rescue operations after the devastating flash flood that struck the Nepal-Tibet border region on Wednesday. And this particularly operation is taking place inside a tunnel where, more than 100 people are still believed to be trapped. The Nepal army has been working round the clock to reach those stranded inside the tunnel of the upper, Tripoli hydropower. And remember, this is not just a normal rescue operation because the terrain itself has become a major challenge. The flash flood brought with it an enormous amount of water, mud, rock, and debris. Roads and bridges have been washed away, access routes have been cut off, and the rescue teams are having to move through extremely difficult conditions. In fact, the visuals that you are seeing right now, those rescuers moving tunnels as they try to reach people who have effectively been cut off from the outside world. And the Nepal army says around 350 workers and local residents have already been rescued from the tunnel, while more than 100 people are still believed to be trapped inside. And that is why every minute, every second is critical. The rescuers are themselves operating in a highly dangerous environment. The threat has not, disappeared even after the first wall of water passed through. There are continuing concerns over fresh flooding and secondary surge because of the landslide and water accumulating upstream. In fact, authorities on, both sides of the Nepal-China border have today warned of another possible flood threat after a landslide, created barrier lake began opening. And that has complicated rescue operations even further. But despite those risks, these, teams on the ground continue to search for survivors. And that brings us to these extremely distressing visuals. And what you are, seeing is this, they are the people who are trying just to help other people. They're trying to save the families, making sure that the missing people meet their family.
Absolutely, Pragati. I'd request you to stay on with us. We have more such videos that have come to the fore. Well, this is a touching moment that has emerged from Nepal's devastating floods as the Nepalese army personnel rescued twin children from a flood-hit area and comforted them after bringing them to safety. The emotional images come as the army, police and other emergency teams continue large-scale rescue and relief operations across the disaster-hit region. Let's take a look at this particular video. All right, let's in fact go across to my colleague Pragati for more on this. Pragati, this is yet another heartwarming video. We can see that two children, in fact they are twins, they have been rescued by the personnel over there and they are being comforted after the rescue operations.
Yes, Shavani?
Pragati, can you hear us?
Yes, Shavani. Nepal has, reported hundreds of deaths, while more than 2,000 people remain missing across Nepal and Tibet. The number is still changing as rescue teams, reach areas and have, remained inaccessible.
Absolutely, Pragati. I'll request you to stay on with us and maybe try to move to a location that has better network connections. We seem to be having some audio issues. Let's get in some more breaking news until then. Well, Nepal has intensified the search and